Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Raiden for the FM Towns Marty. This is a pretty solid version of the arcade game, and we're going to see how far we can get into it. Probably not very far, because Raiden is a very, very difficult shooter. I've done previous Let's Plays on this in the past of, say, the Super Nintendo, Jaguar, and Sony PlayStation versions of the game. And the PlayStation version in particular, I did not make it very far, and I think I even rage quit during that Let's Play. No rage quitting here in the FM Towns Marty version, but we will see how far we can get. I'm going to leave the auto shot off. Much like my Flying Shark Let's Play, what I'll probably do is get as far as I can on 1 credit, and then continue once or twice, or something like that, maybe a couple more times, depending on how well I'm doing, and then we'll call it a Let's Play. So, the FM Towns Marty version, it was one of the best home versions for the time until the Sony PlayStation release, or I should say home console versions. And it does have some flaws, though. It's not an arcade perfect port. The reason I say that is there's some sound effects missing, and there's major frame skipping as the game progresses. It's like the Marty just can't keep up with this game. Still, it's a far, far, far better alternative than, say, the Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis versions of the game. And if you're looking for a more true-to-arcade experience, it's even way better than the Atari Jaguar version, which is a version I actually like quite a bit. I've done Let's Plays and long plays of that game. You can check out on my channel here if you're interested. But yeah, the first level actually I don't think has really any frame skipping. I think it's pretty solid for the most part, but about halfway through level 2 it starts getting really choppy, and which makes dodging quite difficult actually, or much more difficult than it needs to be. And that just continues on throughout the game. You'll have a nice smooth frame rate, and then it'll start to get really jumpy, and then it'll go back to being smooth, and it's got that inconsistency. Now from what I understand, I think if you have an FM Towns computer, which is basically what this version is. If you have a beefier FM Towns computer that's stronger than the Marty, I believe this game pretty much does run perfectly at all times. It's a pretty noteworthy version in that case. Actually, I would say it's still a noteworthy version even with the chop, just because we got so many kind of like half-assed versions of Raiden back in the day. Or not necessarily half-assed. Well, the Super Nintendo version was pretty half-assed, if you ask me. But, well, yeah, the Genesis version was half-assed, too. The PC Engine version was pretty solid, and the PC CD version. But still far, far from arcade perfect, you know. It was definitely still a far cry from the arcade game. And I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at, is there weren't that many ports of this game to home consoles at the time that really replicated that arcade feel, but the FM Towns Marty version definitely does it in spades. It's definitely, I mean, if you pair this up to the arcade game, sprite for sprite, frame for frame, it's all there for the most part. Again, aside from some sound effects and so forth, it's really fantastic in that regard compared to the other versions. But now that we've got the PlayStation version of the game, this one has been made a little redundant, but I still have a blast playing this game, even though it's got some downfalls compared to the arcade game. It's still a lot of fun to play, regardless. So let's see if we can get through this without dying. I'm going to go ahead and use a bomb. Not something I normally do here, but I figured, hey, we're in a Let's Play, why not? Just kind of push this, let the guy go up top a little bit. There we go. It's a little difficult dodging his attack patterns when he's up close like that. And like, this is probably a little dangerous. Okay, cool, we killed him. So yeah, Raiden is actually one of my favorite shoot-em-ups of all time. In particular, the arcade version, and thus the PlayStation version as well, because it's mostly arcade perfect from what I can tell. I know there's, you know, some people, some of the most hardcore players in the world will tell you there are some differences, and I'm sure there are, but for the most part, to my eyes, it's pretty much identical to the arcade game. And so I absolutely love playing the original arcade Raiden, as well as the PlayStation version of the game. And I'd say outside of that, this is probably the best version I have played besides those. Now, I haven't played like the X68000 version of the game, and I haven't played the actual FM Towns computer version of the game. And if you've got a suitable rig there, from what I understand, it should run pretty much perfectly. And would be a fantastic port. But like I said, I still really enjoy this one too. I think it's pretty awesome. Definitely a good reason to own a Marty. Again, maybe a little redundant because of the PlayStation version. But if you got a Marty, you definitely want to have this game in your collection. And it's or have a backup on hand if you don't feel like paying those insane Marty prices, which is usually on average a couple $100 per game. Especially the good games like Raiden and Splatterhouse and whatnot. I was trying to go somewhere with that, but I totally forgot. I just went brain dead. And I have a tendency of doing that when I play these shoot-em-ups. These shoot-em-ups are really tough to talk and play at the same time. And here's where the frame rate chop is starting to act up. It gets worse. So just a FYI, if you're not watching this in 60 frames a second, do your best to try to switch over to 60 frames a second if possible, so you can see the frame rate difference. And it's not slowdown, it's what they call frame skipping. It's where basically the pace of the game stays the same, it's not displaying certain frames, which gives a look, sort of like a skipping kind of look. Whereas slowdown typically everything will just start to act like it's like moving in molasses or something, or quicksand or something like that. You'll still see every frame, but it'll be at just a fraction of the normal rate. Now, I actually personally prefer actual slowdown to frame skipping. Frame skipping, you know, it keeps the pace of the game up. Wow. That was a really dumb death. This is some flying shark crap right here, man, where I'm just running into, like, lone bullets that I shouldn't be getting killed by. But that's my fault. But yeah, I myself, I prefer actual slowdown to frame skipping. Because slowdown doesn't make it harder to dodge bullets and things like that. Frame skipping does, unfortunately. And, I'm just gonna play it safe here, basically. I want to get to the next checkpoint, if at all possible. Yeah, so those were two really bad deaths that I should have just completely avoided. I mean, this is only the second level of the game. It's not really that difficult, especially when you're powered up. One of my problems is that I never play with the laser in this game, unless I'm just kind of bored. I always play with the red shot. And my first mistake was playing with the blue laser instead of the red shot. And the red shot is sort of like my crutch, you know, it's a massive spread shot. And that takes out a lot of like the popcorn enemies and the tanks from a distance and so forth, and just makes life a lot easier. And so if you're a noob to Raiden, I recommend playing with the red shot, at least for the first couple of levels. I understand, I believe at higher level play, people tend to prefer the blue laser. It's much more powerful. And the red laser, the red firepower, the red spread shot, actually gets weaker, sort of. It covers more screen space, but it's not necessarily more powerful unless you're like point blanking an enemy, which is really risky in this game. Point blanking is when you get up as close as you possibly can to an enemy. So for something like a spread shot, every single bullet of your spread will hit the enemy, and thus you're doing the most amount of damage. So like right here, not really point blanky, but you can see how all three of my spread shots are actually connecting with the enemy, and we died. That's bad. See, I basically shot myself in the foot by dying in the very beginning of this level. That was really bad, because now we have to fight the boss with pretty much nothing, which sucks. And I don't have the auto fire turned on, so for every shot you see on this screen, I'm actually pretty much mashing the button. And this part right here is definitely a little bit trickier without power-ups. If you have power-ups, it's a cakewalk, but I don't have power-ups, so it's a little bit trickier. It's a little embarrassing, by the way, because when I play Raiden, I typically get to at least the third boss without any issues. I'll be fully powered up by then. But, yeah, it's a little embarrassing so far. Embarrassing start on this Let's Play. But whatever, it is what it is. It's Raiden. You can never really expect too much in this game. It's, especially when you're trying to talk and play it at the same time. Raiden, like I said, is a very difficult game. You have to have 100% attention towards it when you play it. Otherwise, it's just insanely difficult, especially towards the end of the game. You know, I've never actually beaten the arcade version of Raiden, and it's kind of on my to-do list. It's something I want to spend time to try to do. It's something I want to try to like dedicate time to finally accomplish. All right, I'm just gonna drop a bomb. Okay, that bomb didn't really do me any good, but whatever. Alright, got it. Normally I don't use bombs in this game, but since we're doing a Let's Play and I've pretty much died, or lost all my lives, I'm gonna go ahead and just use them to try to get as far as I can, so you guys can see more of this version of the game. So, much like my Flying Shark Let's Play, a lot of these Marty Let's Plays aren't going to be sort of like quote-unquote traditional Let's Plays of mine, where I just tear through the game. A lot of the FM Towns Marty games I have, I'm not that familiar with compared to games on other systems, and so this sort of like Marty marathon, if you want to call it that, I haven't really, you know, announced this as a marathon. It's just something that was just like, you know, the Marty's fixed now, so let's do some Let's Plays on it. And, you know, when I do Let's Plays of a platform, much like the Game Boy a few weeks back, I like to do a bunch of them back-to-back, basically. And, so you're gonna get a lot of Marty Let's Play videos back-to-back. But unlike a lot of those Game Boy Let's Plays, or Game Boy games, I'm not as familiar with these Marty games. Or if I am familiar with them, like Raiden, I'm not that good at them. And so, you know, it's not like other Let's Plays I've done where you're gonna see me tear through the game and get to the end and whatnot. So I make no guarantees on beating these games during this little Marty marathon. I'm gonna go ahead and just call it the Marty Marathon from here on out. It's not really a marathon. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a marathon to me, but mainly because I don't really plan my Let's Plays out anymore. I don't really plan many of my videos out. I have a couple of scripted videos I would like to plan and finish, but the fact is, when you guys see me do Let's Plays here, that's just kind of all like random. I'm not really, like, one day I'll be like, I feel like playing Game Boy, and that turns into a little bit of a Game Boy marathon. Completely unplanned, and that's exactly what this Marty thing is. I got my FM Towns Marty Power Supply Unit board in the mail again, recapped, and decided, you know what, let's see if it works, and sure enough it did. And I didn't mean to use that bomb, but I did. Whatever. And I was like, you know what? It works. Let's do some Let's Plays. You know? And here we are now. But it wasn't like I had written down on paper somewhere, like, I must do Marty Let's Plays. It hasn't really been working like that for me for at least several months now. There was a time where I still have a list of Let's Plays to do, but lately I've just been kind of just picking stuff at random and practicing it on Twitch or something like that, or not practicing at all in the case of like these Marty games. Yeah, so it's been kind of interesting. Oh, that was bad. I knew I was going to get hit by that. That was dumb. I would have been fine if I just kept moving over to the right, but I was getting a little cocky and I started moving in the opposite direction, and so I ran into that dude's bullets. Alright. Well, that was a little disappointing. Really bad start, unfortunately, but we do get a few continues in the game. Yeah, it looks like you only get 5 credits, which makes this game pretty rough, not being able to continue infinitely. So just like I talked about in my Flying Shark Let's Play, and if you haven't checked out that Let's Play, give it a shot. It's it's actually a really fun game, one I definitely recommend checking out. Much like other Japanese shooters from the same time period, Raiden has what's called a startback mode. And that was extremely common in Japanese shooters. It was pretty much standard for Japanese shoot-'em-ups. Whereas in North America, it was kind of like the other way around. A lot of North American shoot-'em-ups didn't have start-back modes. They would just throw you right back out onto the screen where you were. Usually with a power-up downgrade, of course. So anybody that checks out this version of Raiden, just remember, it's based on the Japanese standard where you've got startback mode every time you die. So checkpoints, basically. Alright, so we're gonna try to use a bomb. I was dumb trying to, like, actually avoid the spread shots completely. Usually what's best with those spread shots is just trying to weave in between the spread shots. I don't know if that really made any sense, but each spread shot is basically like 3 bullets. So you kind of want to, like, sit in between, like, the middle bullet and, like, the far left or the far right bullet. That's usually the best way to dodge on that boss, but I was going a little out of my way to dodge entirely, which actually set me up for failure. If I was doing a little more fine-tuned weaving, I think it would have been fine. Let's see if this gives me a full power-up. Nope, not giving me a full power-up. That sucks. So you can kind of see, like, the bullets have actually slowed down. And Raiden is one of those shoot-em-ups that features rank. Rank is basically, it's a difficulty adjustment on the fly, depending on how well you do, what kind of power-ups you have, and so forth. Oh my god, I got killed again. That wasn't even hard. Oh, jeez, man. Yeah, this is absolutely pathetic. Sorry, guys, I wasn't expecting to just get pretty much, like, screwed on this game, like I am. See? I'm making really bad mistakes, and thus it's probably not a terribly entertaining Let's Play for some people. Some people want to see me die in these Let's Plays. They're like, ah, he's human after all. And, I'm not that good at video games. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting with these Marty videos I'm doing is that I'm noticing there's a full power-up. The interlacing is quite noticeable in these this capture footage. I'm actually doing S-video today, whereas with my Flying Shark video, I was not doing S-video, and it is still going through the FrameMeister. But what's kind of odd is that, like, the S-video isn't really looking that much better than the composite, and S-video is supposed to look amazing compared to composite, but I'm not really noticing much of a difference. I mean, I'm gonna have to compare this footage, like, side by side with my Flying Shark footage, which was composite. Yeah, those bullets are a hell of a lot faster now, so again, that rank... Oh my god! So getting fully powered up didn't really help me that much because the rank increased. The game was like, oh, you're maxed out on firepower now, so we're gonna speed up the bullets tenfold. Alright, I'm gonna stick with the blue laser this time. You know, I'd really like to get past this part so you guys can see more of this version of the game. Die, 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 die. Please die. Please die. He's dead. Alright, good. Mission accomplished. Assuming I don't die here. With my luck, I would totally just run into, like, one of those kamikaze helicopters and just die in, like, the last possible frame. Alright, so we're finally on stage 4. Probably like an hour into this Let's Play already. No, seriously though. That was actually a really bad showing. Normally I tear through the first 3 levels. I get to the 4th level. Actually, there's sometimes I'll tear through the 4th level as well. But that clearly did not happen today. So, Raiden is just a fantastic shooter overall. If you've never played the arcade version of the game, I think you're a fan of shoot 'em ups from this time period, which Raiden came out in North America in 1990. You have to play this game at some point in your life. It's really just a well-done game. There's a reason it was really popular when it came out. It was just a very, very polished game. Great level design, great variety in enemy types. A good balance between popcorn enemies and then these bigger ships that you see right here. There's lots of precision dodging required. So look at how like these little like turrets floating in the water just kind of like bounce around. The game just has a lot of little nuances and details like that that just make it feel really good. I had a feeling something like that was going to slay me. Raiden 2 actually just really enhances that even further. The animation of Raiden 2 is just stunning. It still looks beautiful today, if you ask me. But the first Raiden is just, I think it's paced so well that pretty much anybody should be able to get into it that's a fan of shoot 'em ups. And if you play, say, like the PlayStation version of the game, the Raiden Project, you can tone down the difficulty if the game's giving you a hard time, something like that. But you definitely want to experience the game at some point. It definitely it pays homage to a lot of the shoot 'em ups, the Toe Plan shoot 'em ups that came prior to it. But it refines the formula even further. And to me, it's far more enjoyable than any of the Toe Plan stuff. And I love the Toe Plan stuff. Their games are some of my favorites in terms of the shoot 'em ups from back then. But Raiden just sort of like takes the formula and cranks it up to 11, basically. I mean, just look at like the background. You go from like this green forested area to it transitions over to this desert area. Now you've got this sort of like cobblestone, and it's really nice, just artwork, you know? It's like they really thought out, you know, the environments and so forth. And that wasn't something you saw as much of in, say, some of the Toe Plan games. Like, you play Flying Shark, and they just kind of regurgitate the same kinds of backgrounds and rocks throughout the course of the game. But Raiden, everything is just so detailed. And in a way, it's almost more believable. Not that I really look at 2D games like this and say, oh, that's a believable scenario. I don't really, but I do notice like the attention to detail and the effort that was put into the game, and I think that just makes the experience even more enjoyable. A lot of people say, you know, graphics don't matter, but I feel like everything matters in a game. Graphics, sound, the gameplay. For me, it's the amalgamation of all of those factors, those aspects that make that makes a fantastic game stand apart from the rest of the crowd, basically. It's all those combined factors. Let's see if we can beat this boss without dying. This is, actually, let me take out, like, the turrets, too, because that can be a problem. So one thing you can do in Raiden is, actually, can I kill this dude without even destroying his side things? No, I can't. Okay. Yeah, this may have been a mistake, actually. Please move back. Thank you. The bosses really put the pressure on you in this game because they'll start moving forward and closer, and you're just like, there's not enough room to dodge. Please go back. Please go back. And it's definitely a dynamic that really works well in this game. The game puts the pressure on. But if you know how to deal with it, the bosses will also just back off again. So they'll get close for a few moments, and then they'll move back, letting you breathe a little bit, and it's good back and forth, basically. Alright, so we're at level 5 now. Let's see what we can do with this. This is This could be a tough level, especially if you die. If you die in this level, it's really hard to recover because of just all the popcorn enemies, all the helicopters that come down. I don't even know if they're really helicopters in this game. If this was like Twin Cobra, they'd be helicopters. But these planes, basically, the aircraft that comes down. Oh, I didn't want that. I was just trying to stick with the blue laser. Not a good time to switch over to my spread shot, because I don't have auto fire enabled, and my hand's starting to actually kind of hurt right now. Much like I mentioned in my Fire Shark Let's Play, I do prefer to play these games with manual fire, if that's how they sort of came by default in the arcades. So Raiden never had auto fire in the arcade. If it did, it was probably a dip switch option and wasn't the default. I don't even know if it was an option in the arcade. I'm going to go with no, because I've never played a Raiden machine with auto fire on. So, I like to play Raiden. I'm a little bit of a purist. I like to play Raiden without auto fire, basically. And I'm of the idea that if you want auto fire, then use the blue laser. I mean, that's kind of like what it's here for. Is you don't have to mash the button as much as you do with the red shot when you're using the blue laser. Like a single tap for the blue laser will send out like a nice long stream, and so you can mash the button relatively lightly instead of really, really fast like you do with the red shot. Alright, how many continues do we have left? Probably not many now. 3? Okay, we'll go ahead and give it one more try. We'll see what we can do with this. I think I might have already made it past where I made it in the Raiden Project Let's Play I did a few years back. A rather embarrassing Let's Play, by the way. I actually, like, raged out of both of the games, I think. I broke a PS2 controller during that Let's Play. And, not one of my brightest moments here on YouTube. Yeah, see, this is really tough without having, like, decent firepower. And one of the things about this game is your turrets and so forth, they do take more shots than your turrets and so forth do in, say, you know, Flying Shark. And so that makes things a little bit tricky at this point, where I'm just trying to get some power-ups, but I can't even get the power-ups, basically. Alright, let's get that. Unfortunately, your first blue laser isn't that great. It's better than your stock red firepower, but it's still not that great. Alright, got some homing missiles that might help a little bit. Your first level of your homing missiles aren't that good either, unfortunately. And if you haven't noticed yet, your bombs actually aren't that powerful in this game. Your bombs are more or less there to help you get out of a tight situation. They're not going to, like, kill everything on the screen for you. So, you can use the bombs as sort of like a bit of a safety measure. But as far as, like, dishing out damage on bosses, or, like, big enemies, it's not going to help that much, actually, believe it or not. You know, what's funny, it's just like earlier on in the video, I'm like, I never used the blue laser. But I feel like I'm at a point where, because I've died, I kind of have to use the blue laser, otherwise I can't recover. So that's kind of where I stand right now. I really want that firepower, but I also don't want to just move up the screen, because I'm going to get hit by a bullet. Jeez, man, die. This thing is just eating up. It's just soaking up that damage like crazy. Oh, I got hit by like the 2 little bullets. The easiest part of the boss to dodge, I got hit by. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. You know, we might as well just go ahead and play this whole thing out. Make this like an hour-plus long Let's Play. Since you get limited continues in this game, I can actually... The game will stop me after a point, basically. Whereas in my Flying Shark Let's Play, I was like, do I keep going? Yes, no, 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 yes. 10 continues later. Oh, this is horrible, man. See, now I'm maxed out on my normal firepower, but the problem with this is that now the rank is going to increase. But at least I got the spread shot. That's always a good thing. Probably should have kept the spread shot, but I kind of accidentally picked up the blue laser. Oh. We basically have to go through this whole section every time now. So, thank you, Japanese checkpoint system. Thanks for being brutal. Thanks for forcing me to use bombs when I don't want to use bombs. Thanks for trolling me, Japan. Let's just blame Japan. Hey, it is a Japanese-developed game. Hey, that was crazy. Yeah, we might even just give up after this continue. I don't feel like doing this 10 times. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys have at least enjoyed this Let's Play up to this point. We're probably not gonna make it much farther, if any farther at all, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It's, like I said, Raiden is a very difficult game. And much like Flying Shark, I feel like I'm pretty much obligated to use bombs in order to progress. So this is our last continue. Might as well try to play it out. But yeah, Raiden is a very, very difficult game. Oh my god. See, that was just a stupid death. Yeah, that was dumb. That was my fault. It's so tough to deal with. So tough. But we gotta go through the whole section over again. There's no... It's not like Flying Shark, where, like, you get a checkpoint seemingly like every other screen, but in Raiden, it's definitely a little more brutal in that regard. And that's it. Game over. If this was a Sega game, it would be like rubbing it in your face. It'd be like, game over, yeah! Sing like a really funny jingle as you realize you can't continue anymore. And that is it. That is Raiden, or if you prefer to pronounce it, Raiden, for the FM Towns Marty. Pretty solid version of the game. But as you saw, the frame rate got a little choppy at parts, particularly on the second level, which had multiple layers of scrolling. I think that's what really slowed the game down. But for the most part, it's still a really solid version of the game. If you got an FM Towns Marty, definitely try to acquire the game in some form. Again, if you don't want to pay super high Marty prices, you can always just make a backup burned copy and play it that way. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play. Like I said, I'll be back with more Marty Let's Plays very soon. I plan on doing things like Turbo Outrun, Viewpoints, Truxton 2, Splatterhouse, Galaxy Force 2, maybe even some Bubble Bobble. And anything else that I think is pretty cool that I can actually play on this system. Because there are some games I have, like Lemmings and Operation Wolf, that unfortunately require a mouse accessory. And, but yeah, we'll see what I can cook up here. And I hope you guys enjoy the upcoming Marty videos. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. If you like this Let's Play, you'll definitely like all the other Let's Plays in my channel and all the other stuff I do here as well. For everybody else already subbed, thanks as usual. I appreciate the support. And take care, guys. I'll see you soon.